being. So it's yeah, I don't really have any words for it. I'm just looking forward to Friday.
Hey, Jack, you've known Tommy Edman a long time. LA, I think, just got introduced to him. What makes him so special of a player, and what makes him so special for this team and a great fit?
Man, Tommy's a dog, and he always has been since he came up when we were in St. Louis, and what he was able to do in 2019, filling in. He filled in at second, third. It didn't matter, and he was unbelievable defensively. And then the came along as well, and he could, puts really good at bats together. He does it from the left side and the right side, and then they started moving him around even more, put him in center field, and he excelled there, and then he excelled at short too. So it didn't matter where he played. He was probably the best defensive second baseman that I've played with. Won a Gold Glove there, and then has just continued no matter where you have put him to be unbelievable. He's an unbelievable at short, unbelievable in center. Um, and then he just, the dude works really hard, and he's really versatile and he does a lot of things, and it's something that I think every ball club would like to have.
Next question is from Kirsten Watson. Go ahead, Kirsten.
Jack, I know we talked about just your last outing in the NLDS and just some of the frustrations and kind of not making the adjustments as quick as you'd wanted to. How do you just approach going into this matchup against the Yankees, and kind of what adjustments have you been able to make and kind of things you're working on this week preparing for it?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like you would any other start during the regular season. I keep that same, kind of work ethic and same approach to everything that I do during the season. And for me, every game during the season is the biggest game of the year, so it doesn't change going into the playoffs and going into the World Series, and the mindset stays the same. And the adjustments start to start and pitch to pitch are always a little different between starts. Some you got to tweak a little bit, some tweak a little bit more, but it's not, you don't have to reinvent everything. It's just figuring out what those small adjustments are and what they might be, and these couple days off to dive into some things and look at it. Been good, and it's just it's about figuring it out and keeping the same approach that we have all year.
I know that you started this year in the American League with the Tigers, and with talking to some of the other guys earlier today, there's obviously familiarity with the Yankees just because of the big names on the team. But what is just your kind of familiarity, and did you have any earlier this year facing them?
Yeah, I didn't get to face them. We went to New York, um, watched with Detroit and watched them go at them and face them. And it's a really good team. When you end up at this point, there's two teams left. I mean, really towards the end of the playoffs, every team you face you're going to get everybody's best shot. So it's one of those things that you look forward to, and you got to look forward to facing the best of the best that are out there. And they've got some guys that have been studs for a really long time, and guys who have continued to do it and are just they're really damn good. And there's not much more to it than that. It's just going to be an incredible matchup.
Thank you.
Next question's from Juan Toribio. Go ahead.
Hey, Jack, you've kind of talked about how the deadline was just kind of like a big waiting game for you. As you and kind of family and friends kind of followed along throughout that craziness of the deadline, like did it ever get to the point where you thought you might have gone to the Yankees, and just how glad are you of how things worked out?
Um, I didn't really give much to my family in terms of what I was hearing with things going on, and there's more to all that with the deadline that I just have kind of held on to, and things turned out the way that they did, and we're here, we're with LA, and I couldn't be, it's crazy thing I could have been on the other side of this, but I'm happy for the situation that I'm in, and being a part of this team and the guys that we have, and the run that we've been able to go on, and what we still have left going forward.
Thanks, Jack.
Next question's from Bill Shagan. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Jack. Do you have a first memory or an early memory as a kid of coming to Dodger Stadium?
I've been asked that, and I can't think of like a very specific like first memory or first game or one of those. Like I remember a bunch of games from high school. I think some of the earliest memories would be coming here, being in Little League and coming here. I always had a Little League night, and we'd sit in left field, and it felt like it was always against the Giants, and Bonds would just get booed left and right, and that was something that was I was those are some of the things that I remember was being out there sitting in those left field pavilions and um, listening to Bonds get booed when the rivalry was Dodgers Giants, and that was the heavy part of it. But in terms of like a earlier specific one, no, I just remember coming. I can't really remember a specific game.
And just to have the opportunity now, I'm sure you see 50,000 people there representing LA every night. To be somebody representing LA on the mound, there's only one guy who can do that in Game 1 of the World Series. What does that feel like?
Like I said, I mean, they get to pitch first, and it's an opportunity to go out and set the tone, and make some adjustments after what the last game that I had, and be able to set us up for kind of the rest of the series. And it's gonna be a grind. It's gonna be hard fought between both sides, and at the end of the day, we're gonna give everything that we got.
Thank you.
Next question is from Bill Plunkett. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, Jack, your velocity was down a tick or two in that Game 5 start again. I know we make too much of velocity, but when something like that happens, what does it signal to you?
Usually it's just timing. It's usually just timing, and I think going throughout this year, I've had some starts go like that where it's kind of up and down, and I was able to make corrections going to the next one. Maybe not right in that moment because sometimes it just comes down to timing and the way everything's in sync, and sometimes you're on some of those fastballs, you start pushing the ball, your arm gets kind of lost in space, and you don't get the same drive behind it. Or for me, my lower half gets off a little bit. And at a certain point, when you get into games like that and you don't feel quite in sync, it just becomes, you just got to compete and give everything you got, no matter what your stuff is. And so at that point, I stopped paying attention to velocity and stuff, and just try to execute with what I got. And sometimes you're able to make those adjustments in game, and sometimes you're not, and you just go out and compete, and you save those adjustments for in between. So it usually just boils down to timing, and try and get the arm and the whole body in sync to just sync up. So that's been one of the focuses over the last, I guess, couple days, and really losing track of what day it is at this point. But yeah, it's just doing that, do some work in the bullpen tomorrow and get ready for Friday.
I think it's Tuesday, but I'm not sure either. When you're facing a lineup like the Yankees with those, three big stars, just like the Dodgers have at the top of their lineup, what's the danger for a pitcher of overemphasizing that and then having the so-called less dangerous hitters bite you?
I don't think you can look at anybody else as less dangerous in any lineup. You look at our lineup top to bottom, especially when you're able to get those guys on towards the bottom of the order and set it up for the top. That's where you get into some interesting, tougher situations, and you got to pitch through traffic with those guys coming up. So it's about executing your game plan. It's about treating every hitter like it's you got to treat every hitter the same, and go out and attack them, and try to go out and execute your game plan, and get ahead, stay ahead, and not make things too complicated, not try too hard.
Thanks, Jack.
Next question is from Jack Harris. Go ahead.
Hey, Jack, when you talk about, making adjustments this week and coming out of the last start, like what does that look like specifically for you, and where does a lot of that work take place?
Dive into some film, dive into some pitch selection, different things of that nature. Like rewatching that game, like I said, I felt that the game sped up on me in that inning. I was multiple times one pitch away from getting out of it where it's still either 3-1 or 5-1 instead of it getting to 8-1. You give up I give the homer to Pete in the first. He puts a good swing on a ball. They get some more guys on. We get out of it, keep it right there, put up a 0 the next inning, and I'm a pitch or two away from that inning being different, and that's kind of the way that this game goes sometimes. Is it's usually you look at it and you're one pitch away here or there from that game being a little different, and but Honey came in and did an unbelievable job the rest of that game. But I think it just comes down to looking at it and understanding that it was right there, and if we can control a couple more things, and be in a little bit of a better spot.
And then like going into a start like this, like do you take time at all to just kind of reflect on, how different things are for you compared to probably where you were at this time last year, just going from the changes you talked about wanting to make last off season to now pitching game 1 of a World Series?
Yeah, I had somebody text me that the other day, say, what a difference a year makes, and thinking about, how last year went, and, being at home and watching the World Series versus being in this situation now, and, the year that I was able to have, and, turn into a bounce back and execute better and just do a lot of things better. And it comes down to hard work, and the more you work and the more you stay disciplined, things seem to come your way.
Thank you.
Got time for one more. Go ahead, Carrie.
And you got them all.
Hey, Jack, so much has happened for you in the last 2.5 months. You're pitching in front of your hometown team, you're pitching in the NLDS and the NLCS and now the World Series. How are you able to kind of micro focus on the moment and get away from all the noise that surrounds all of that?
The big people around you, and I've been very lucky to have that. From my family, from my mom, my brother, my close friends. That group has been my rock and my foundation for a very, very long time, and I'm really lucky to have them in my life, and be able to call some people family, and pick up the phone, talk to them whenever. But they always remind me at the end of the day that I'm never it's never as big of a situation as everybody else is going to make it seem. It's awesome, it's great, this opportunity is phenomenal, it's what we've all wanted. But when you sit down with your close group, and it just feels like a regular day, and it feels like you're 15 years old again, sitting with them and talking, and things haven't changed. It just kind of puts things into perspective.
How good was that support group after your last start?
They gave me the day because they know that I don't really want to talk, and I won't really have anything nice to say to them on that night. And then come the next day, it's the conversation shifts to, let's talk about college football and getting ready for football on Sunday, even though we've got game 6 coming up, and it's stuff like that where it just it's just normal life, and it's not. Baseball is everything, and baseball is the most important thing. But to them, we're just those are my best friends and my family, and it's like, yeah, it's cool and all, but we get some good football to watch this weekend, and that helps you move forward a little bit.
Thank you, Jack.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks, everybody.